death to stifle town hall protesters.
This screaming that's going on is not helpful. My hope is that this will maybe cause people to take a breath, step back, and start talking with each other again in more civil tones about what needs to be done. Because that's what Teddy would do.
Well, my next guest says Senator Dodd and others are way off base. Anna Puig has attended several town halls, and Anna, essentially what Senator Dodd was saying is this demeans Senator Kennedy, this type of language, this raucous discourse. What do you make of that?
What I make of it, Neil, is that the government is trying to exploit Senator Kennedy's passing in such a short period of time, and it just shows to us, it proves to us that they're doing it out of desperation, because right now all the polls are showing that 53% of Americans, no matter what party they belong to, are against this health care reform, H.R. 3200, which they're pushing down our throats.
All right. Now, I think what Senator Dodd was getting at, though, is that if there's a way to return civility to the health care debate, do you think that some who have argued against health care, or at least the way it's envisioned in Washington by Senator Kennedy when he was alive and now Senator Dodd presently, that they go too far? And I think that's what Dodd was saying. Is that a fair criticism?
What you're saying is that Senator Dodd says that we as conservatives or people who are against the bill are going too far? No, we're just representing what we believe in. A lot of us have read the bill. I have read most of the bill, and it doesn't go according to the American Constitution.
Well, you raise a good point. If you're raucously in favor of what Dodd's saying, then you don't go too far, I guess. But if you're raucously against it, then you are. But let me get out of your sense of where this goes, because many are looking at the passing of Senator Kennedy and the sort of bipartisan sympathetic wave that's gripped much of the country as being very much a game changer on health care reform, and that this could create more appetite for the very thing that you're against. What do you make of that?
I think that the far left is using emotion. They're not using principle. I think that most people believe and agree that Senator Kennedy was about defending the Constitution of the United States of America, that he was about all the liberties and freedom that this country has to offer. And quite honestly, if the majority of Americans are against this bill, I don't believe Senator Kennedy would want to have his name associated with it.
Now, still, when Senator Kennedy was alive, he had mentioned, much as we had attempted health care in the early 90s, that special interest groups stopped it then. And he was kind of agreeing with President Obama when he said the same special interest groups might try to torpedo it again. In other words, lumping folks like you, Anna, with special interest groups. What do you think of that? How do you feel when your criticism is sort of lumped in with prevailing interest to health care who will not change?
Neil, here's the thing. It's not about special interest groups anymore. It's about the majority of Americans. It's not about being a Republican or a Democrat or an independent. It's about what the American people want. The Obama administration is losing people from all sides of the spectrum as far as this health care bill goes. And I honestly believe that if Senator Kennedy was alive today, he would not want to go against what the American people want. That was not his style. Unlike other representatives that we have right now representing us, like Eric Massa in New York, who clearly stated last week that he will vote according to his own ideology, and he will go against his constituents want in New York.
So, ironically, we forget that before the senator became very ill with brain cancer, one of the measures that was out there in the Senate was his, that did not cover everybody for health care, that logistically they couldn't find a way to do it. So it's ironic that the lion of healthcare reform, as he has been seen in this tragedy, it was in fact realistic enough to know that you couldn't get everybody on board.
Exactly, and especially when we're talking about adding $1 trillion over the period of 10 years to already a $9 trillion deficit that the CBO has come out and the Obama administration has come out and supported during the past week. Neil, and if I may add, I actually have a quote from Senator Kennedy here when he spoke in Lynchburg, Virginia back in 1983 about the goodness of Americans, and he said, and I quote, he said, "I hope for an America where the power of faith will always burn brightly, but where no modern inquisition of any kind will ever light the fires of fear, coercion, or angry division." I think this says it all, Neil.
Anna, thank you very, very much. the man you quoted, Ted Kennedy, having his final ride through, I guess you could call it the old neighborhood in Boston. He's just arrived in Boston proper, the Rose Fitzgerald Kennedy Greenway, named after his mom. Again, got to be a very big environmental push that Senator